Okay, we are back with another edition of the New York Sports Rapid Rundown. And just when you thought sports news in the Big Apple would slow down because of the MLB All-Star break, well, the local football teams, they took center stage this week with training camp right around the corner. And this week on the show, I have the pleasure of having a guest who's one of the rising voices in New York sports radio. You can hear her hosting on WFAN. Now, you can see her in studio with me, Danielle McCartan. Danielle, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to have you here. We're in the WFAN studios usually, but now I have you here on the New York Sports Rapid Rundown. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. You recently were at the All-Star game. First, you got to tell me about that. How was that? How was your time in Seattle?
It was awesome. It was so cool. It was something, kind of once in a lifetime, but I hope not once in a lifetime. You know what I mean? I
think there'll be many more for you. I have a good feeling about that. All right, we got a lot of topics to talk about today. First, we're going to start off with the Giants and Saquon Barkley, okay? They're at a stalemate. The G-men, they put the franchise tag on their running back earlier this offseason, and the deadline for both sides to agree to a long-term deal is Monday. I want to ask you this, right, in terms of working this out, Danielle, who has the leverage here? Is it Barkley or is it the Giants?
It's absolutely the Giants. There's no way it's Saquon Barkley because when the franchise tag, they've tagged him. Okay, so either he's going to make that salary and that's it. He's locked into it. Now, if Saquon Barkley wants to sit out, well then he loses $600,000 per game. Is it worth it if you're Saquon Barkley? I don't think so. I mean, but I would never refuse $600,000 myself. But the leverage is always on the Giants' side in a situation like this because, by the way, the Giants also have 3 other running backs on the depth chart, whether he's there or not.
And that's the thing, right? With the running back position, the way it's been sort of devalued in the NFL, that's the thing when you talk about him not having the leverage. But I got to ask you this. His only play here, one would think, is to hold out. So do you think he'll hold out when training camp starts on July 25th?
I do. I think, and if there's no deal struck, which
if no deal struck.
I think there still might be some hope for a deal. I do. But in the event that there is not a deal struck, I do think he will hold out throughout training camp. That first game is Sunday. I think it's Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. What a statement that would make to sit out one game to prove the point. I could see this going, maybe he sits out. Definitely, I think he sits out training camp. I think he may sit out actually that Week 1 game against the Cowboys just to make a point.
Wow, so that's interesting. So if nothing gets done by training camp, because that's next where I was going to go with you, right? You really think he might be about that life and he might want to sit out. Do you think both sides, when you look at the leverage you're saying that are for the Giants and the fact that he might be willing to sit out, do you think a deal gets done by the start of the season?
I'm a pessimist. I'm always a pessimist.
Always a pessimist.
But in this particular scenario, I actually am optimistic because for the Giants to get the job done, their incentive is if they tag him, that $10 million comes off their cap immediately. And the Giants are in a cap situation where they can't really afford to do something like that. Whereas in Saquon Barkley, he doesn't want to play underneath the tag. If he gets hurt, if he has a bad season, knock on wood for both of those things, but he would be incentivized to sign a long-term deal at the same time. So I think both sides have an incentive to get a deal done. It's just a matter of getting to the table and getting it done Monday, 4 p.m.
Yeah, the clock is ticking on that, folks. Giants fans want this to happen. They're calling Danielle on the fan. They want to get this done. Nobody wants the drama to go into training camp. Like, nobody wants this all. Speaking of drama, let's talk about the Jets. Let's talk about Hard Knocks. The Jets, they got selected for Hard Knocks. It was against their wishes. This is not what they wanted. I've heard fans tell me, some of them, this is not what they wanted. 10 of the 18 teams that have been on Hard Knocks have not made the playoffs. I believe that number is correct. It's 10 or 11, so it's one of those. But there's a high percentage of the year they were on Hard Knocks, they did not make the playoffs. The Jets, the time they were on in 2010, they were one of the few teams that had success and they reached the 2010 AFC Championship game. There's a lot of media attention on this team right now with Aaron Rodgers and everything. So in your eyes, do you look at being on Hard Knocks for the Jets a positive or is it a negative?
Well, I think it's a negative that they're going to have to be forced to turn into a positive because not a single team wanted Hard Knocks in their building. There's not a single team, the Jets included, as you said. But I saw Aaron Rodgers get interviewed at that golf tournament and he basically kind of said like, hey, listen, we didn't want to be a part of it. It was against our will. And to me, that read as we're just going to make the best of it. So I think they've got the right personnel in that building. The rest of this young roster is going to follow his lead. And so I think they're going to be okay.
All right, so you think they'll be okay. But for the people that like this, right, you notice folks out there, they love the drama, they love the juicy storylines. I know some of you watching love this. I don't know if this is you, Danielle, when you sit down and you look at Hard Knocks. For you, I'm sure you're going to watch. What is the most intriguing story surrounding the Jets heading into this training camp?
Yeah, once I heard that this reality TV isn't exactly reality TV, I kind of stopped watching, but I guess I'm going to be forced to now that the Jets are going to be on it. But I don't know, I kind of sat down and thought about this. I think obviously the number one storyline, I came up with three. The top storyline is going to be this. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson. You know, Zach Wilson, who, you know, that was his idol growing up, and now he gets to play underneath him. And that's like the storyline, right? That's Hollywood, you know, in real life. It is. And then I would love to see the maturation process of Zach Wilson as well as part of that. But then I was thinking, too, like, what else could there be? All right, I like the Williams brothers storyline. Especially because their mother passed away on August 10th, and I think they'll be rolling when that happens. So I think that's another intriguing storyline. I feel like if they want to tug at people's heartstrings, like that's a way to do it. Get the family involved, more of the family involved. And the other storyline is Mekhi Becton. I mean, the guy is in his walk year of his contract because the Jets declined his fifth-year option. How motivated is he to win back a rotation spot in that offensive line? Like, how fit is he? We've seen all the workout videos. So those are the kind of the three things that I'm going to be looking for as a begrudging viewer of this season of Hard Knocks.
Begrudging viewer. Not excited, but, you know, we work in New York sports media, so we have to watch. We have to know what's going on. Yeah. I just hope you don't get mad at one point and it's like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
I can't. I'm going to get calls about it.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you will. I feel like Jets fans are going to let you know, we didn't want this in the first place.
Right.
You know that's going to happen. Okay, let's talk some baseball. And this is going to hit home for you because you are a Yankees fan, right? So after the final game, folks know this final game of the first half of the Yankees, they announced that they're firing hitting coach Dylan Lawson. Then they hired Sean Casey. Danielle, I got to ask this because this is something I ask every time there's a change at hitting coach or pitching coach.
Yeah.
Is this going to make a difference for the Yankees? Is this going to make a difference for their offense that has been struggling for pretty much most of the season?
I hope so. I mean, I hope so because you're not going to replace the players really at this point in time. I think it's just it's a bigger issue than that, more that we've talked about on the fan for months and months and almost even more than a year, I guess, at this point. But to me, I mean, great, good for him. He got the job and everything. That's great. But I think it's going to be more than just him to get this team motivated. I think it's more of a cataclysmic shift that needs to happen in their front office philosophy. And, you know, when I look at their roster, I looked at who's the highest Yankee hitter? Okay, it's Gleyber Torres. He's hitting 257. Anthony Rizzo at this point is hitting 257. And then I compared it against Atlanta Braves, and I compared it against the Tampa Bay Rays, and I was like, I think the Braves had 8 guys hitting over that mark. The Rays had 7 guys hitting over that mark. So you're like, well, wait a second. Unless the Yankees shift their whole seismic, you know, philosophy of hitting, they're not going to make any damage, no matter if it's me, you, or anybody, you know, coaching this team in the hitter's room, unfortunately.
I feel like that point that you just made there doesn't get discussed enough, right? That it's really, look, like you made the point of this too, right? It's on the players and them actually producing at the plate, no matter who's in there coaching. I'm not trying to say the coaches don't matter. I'm not saying that, but the players have to produce, right? So with that being said, you said there needs to be a seismic shift, right, for the players. Do you have any confidence that this lineup will be much improved in the second half of the season? Or, in your eyes, is a lot of it tied to Aaron Judge coming back, who has not been a part of this Yankee lineup for a bit of a stretch right now?
Yeah, there's a lot there. But I just feel that it has to come down from the front office. Like, that shift has to come from the front office. They're the ones making the moves. I point to last year when Andrew Benintendi was selected, traded for at the trading deadline. I looked at what he's doing now. He's hitting 280 for the lowly White Sox. 280. He hasn't made a single error since 2001 in the outfield. So when the Yankees, I mean, yes, of course they miss Aaron Judge. He is, you know, besides Torres and Rizzo, he's hitting 291. He's the highest on the team. But what I'm saying is they had the right guy right there. So until the Yankees front office starts, you know, kind of letting go of these 3 outcome has-beens and moving on to and away from the rotational guys in the outfield, and getting guys like Benintendi who get on base. I mean, that's the new old money ball. Yeah. Get on base. It's old school ball. So the more they can get those kind of guys on the roster and let go of guys that are underperforming and hitting in the 100s, we know who we're talking about here.
Yeah, we do. We do.
But until that cataclysmic shift happens to, the Yankees focusing on guys that want to get on base and just, hit it where they ain't, the old motto, I don't know how much even Aaron Judge is going to save this team. I mean, the longer he's out, the worse it's going to get for this team. Yeah,
they really need him back, and I think everybody knows that. The Yankee fans know that. You said to me earlier in this conversation that you are generally a pessimist.
Yeah.
Is what you generally said. But you're a Yankees fan. And, you've seen a lot of success with the Yankees winning your life. Are you confident? Confident saying to a pessimist is interesting. But do you think the Yankees will make the playoffs in 2023? This is the money question, Danielle. Will the Yankees make the playoffs in 2023?
It's hard to say. I mean, right now, FanGraphs has them at a 47.5% to make the postseason. It's hard to say because Rodon had a bad outing. His last outing, it was bad, and it all hinges on Aaron Judge. I mean, if this guy's going to be out for another month, they play 500 ball or a little under while he's missing. If he comes back and, would you take Aaron Judge at 75% over most other players? Yes, the answer is yes. We saw he was just taking some swings in the batting cage in Chicago. And where are they playing?
They were just, I forgot where the Yankees just were.
Oh, where were they?
I
just said it.
It's the All-Star break, folks, and I feel like we should remember this too. They were in Colorado.
Colorado, that's
I forgot about Colorado.
Let me just start that over.
All-Star break, folks. It happens. You had a little bit of baseball. We were away. She was in Seattle. It happens. It is what it is.
So how Aaron Judge goes is how this Yankees team is going to go. If he's out for a long period of time, they play 500 ball or less with him. But if he comes back, we just saw him taking some swings out there in Colorado in the batting cage before the game. I mean, that's a good sign. But would you take Aaron Judge at 75% over any other player in the league? I'm taking that bet for sure, even if he's just a DH. But I don't know. I just feel like if it goes on too long, it could be too far gone before he comes back and makes a difference.
It could be. And then you're also worried about the Yankees, worrying about his long-term health, and they're protecting against that for the immediate return of what they can get, even at him at 75% now. It's a battle. So that is a yes or a no?
If you're holding it to me right now.
I'm holding your feet to the fire.
Yes, I'm going to say yes, still make the postseason, yes.
All right. See, look at that. Danielle McCartan being optimistic about the Yankees. You might not get that much, but she's being optimistic. Check out Danielle on WFAN. She does such a great job there, hosting and everything. Danielle, I appreciate you joining me on the New York Sports Rapid Rundown. Thank you.
Dex, thanks. So you mentioned it in the studio, and I was like, yes, I'm on board. You tell me when, I'll be there.
You were the first guest to do this show in studio, so you're a little part of history.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Again,
it.
check Danielle out. Until next time, y'all. Peace.